Okay, so welcome to Workshop Wednesday, and I'm got a fun thing going for you today. We are going to make some faux stained glass butterflies with our dies from our Butterfly Brilliance bundle. I was looking for the name of the dies and I couldn't find the name of the dies, but they're in the Butterfly Brilliance bundle. So what can I say? I'm always, but the reason I was late is I had to get a new plate for my Stampin' Cut and Emboss, because I was embarrassed for you to see the plate that I have been using today. It's ugly. Okay. So this was an idea that I came up with this morning. I thought, what am I going to do for Workshop Wednesday? So I came up with this idea, and I'm sure I'm not the first one. So if somebody else has already come up with this idea, well, I'm glad great minds think alike. So the first thing is this. Is double-sided, and I'm using a piece of I use the mini dimensionals, a piece of the side. Just cut a piece of the side here, and it'll stick without staying stuck, which is kind of what you want, right? But I've stuck this like 6 or 7 different things, otherwise it would probably stick a lot better. But I posted pictures in our group, our Facebook group, of places where you can use it on a mirror, on a picture frame, on a glass window that you're looking through. I put it on my thermostat. Where else did I put it? I don't even remember. But so it's very versatile. You can stick it anywhere you want to add a little pizzazz. And you can vary the color depending on what color you want to go for. So this, or you could put this on a card. Now, I did this one a little different. This one doesn't have backing on it. If you want to put it on a card, you probably want to put one of the white outlines in basic white cardstock, because the white cardstock kind of brightens it up. So if you put that on a card, that having that white behind it really brightens it up. But I will tell you, I got this, a couple of things I learned. This one I did with blends. This one I did with pumpkin pie on the edge and calypso coral in the middle. Okay, and the ink with daubers, and we'll do one, but this one I did dark calypso, dark pumpkin pie on the outside and dark calypso coral on the inside, and I actually like the ink better. This normally when you use blends, it blends in together and it doesn't leave streaks, but when you use it on vellum, it leaves streaks. But then it also kind of looks like real stained glass. So you go for the look that you want. The daubers are sold in the catalog in sets of 5. Just look in the index in the back for sponge daubers. So I would recommend trying both, and whichever look you like. Like I said, this actually looks more like stained glass if that's what you're really looking for. This has a nice even tone to it because of the ink. This has a more stained glass look. So you decide whether, if you want the more stained glass look, you might have to use a couple of coats of the blends to get that nice dark color, and I actually colored it on both sides. This one I only put ink on one side. This one I put ink on both sides. So you decide. It doesn't look that bad, really. I just like the more even look. Okay, and then the other thing I discovered, this one I daubed with Bumblebee, and I liked the color, but something about the ink, it just didn't want to dry. It's finally dry now, and not really. It's still putting ink on my fingers, so if you're wondering why my fingers are yellow. So I would suggest there's something in the Bumblebee. It's kind of like an oil. It just never really soaks into the vellum. And when I tried to put my sticky part on the front, it wouldn't stick. It might stick now. I did a lot of dabbing and getting, like, trying to get excess ink off. So it might actually stick now. I don't know. Yeah, it looks like it might stick now. So test your inks on your vellum first to make sure that they're not going to have that oily residue left behind that just doesn't. See, it's even still now. It doesn't want to stick. Okay, so I decided I would go with Mango Melody and Pumpkin Pie for this one. So this one is Pumpkin Pie on the edge, which I don't know why it looks so yellow, but Pumpkin Pie on the edge and Calypso Coral in the center. This one is Mango Melody on the edge and Pumpkin Pie in the center. Okay, and then this is the same as that one. So let's get started making our faux butterflies. So the first thing you want to do is get some vellum. And so I have a piece of 5.5 by 8.5, but you really only need like 5 by 7. But there's really no reason to cut it off. You might want to use it later for more. So let's bring in my Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine. I can get some of these butterflies out of the way. Here we go. And my Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine. Ta-da! Clunk. So this is my vellum. I'm going to cut the outline of the dies, and I'm not sure if I'll be in camera the whole time. Here's my new one. I'll feed this through real quick. I'm kind of in camera and kind of out of camera, and it's sliding because of the paper underneath. Okay, let's see what we got. And you could use some of this for another butterfly if you want. Okay, come on. So once we've done that, we have all of these nice. Now you don't have to do all of them. You could do, if you're only going to do one butterfly, you could just use a smaller piece of vellum, just big enough to cut that one butterfly. But I figured I'm going to probably make a few, so while I'm cutting, I would just cut. Let's do the big one. I do like the smaller ones though, but this one obviously sticks better than this one. So what we want to do is do some daubing. We're going to start with pumpkin pie. Oh my gosh, it's been an afternoon. So what I like to do is take this, this is what we're going to die cut the black image out of. I like to kind of do that to see where the outside goes and where the inside goes, so I can put the ink where I want it. So I know that I want the outside of the ink part to be, let me bring in my butterfly. I want it to be kind of yellow, so, and why is that pumpkin pie yellow now? And it was pumpkin pie now, it was yellow before. All right, well, maybe it turns yellow as it dries. Okay, it'll, whatever it is, it's what it will be. I think I used pumpkin pie. And you just kind of have to blend it. And as the ink dries, it will kind of blend itself too. I'm wondering now if I used maybe a yellow for that. I wonder if I used yellow. It'll be pretty either way. So now I'm going to put this on here and make sure I got all of those outside areas, and it looks like I did. So I'm done with the pumpkin pie now, and then you just wash these daubers off and use them in the same color family, like the red, the blues, the greens, yellows, oranges. Okay, so now I'm going to use Calypso Coral for the inside. And it would be kind of fun to just experiment with the different colors to see what color combinations you like. You might like to try some greens. Or blues, purples. Okay, so now I think I've got enough there. So I'm going to let this dry. While that dries, we're going to do something else. We're going to cut out our butterflies. Let me move this. You'll see my messy thing down here. Now we need some basic black. So I have a piece of basic black cardstock that is 5. It's 5. It could be 4 1/4 to be half a sheet. 5 by 11. And then I have some adhesive sheets. It's also in the catalog. You can find those in the index in the back as well. Just search for adhesive sheets. This is a new pack of adhesive sheets. Now these adhesive sheets, there's 3 strips. Let me see, I'm going to make sure I do this right. Where's the opening? Alright, so this is bigger than my 5. So I'm going to bring in my trimmer and I'm going to trim. I don't want it to be exactly 5. I'm going to have it to be like 5 and 5/8. 5 and 5/8. No, 4 and 4 and 3/4, or almost 4 3/4. A little more than 4 3/4 wide. And I also need to cut it the 11 wise too. But this is 12, so all I need to do is take a little more than an inch off. And that will give me basically a little less than 5 and a little less than 11, so that it doesn't hang over my cardstock. That's easier to work with if it doesn't hang over. Okay, so It's so hard to find these. Okay, come on. So this, the sticky part is down here at the bottom. So I'm pulling this away. This is like gum, almost like glue, gummy glue. You don't want to touch it, as least as amount as you can anyway. And then flip it over. You can work with smaller sheets if you feel more comfortable working with a smaller sheet. You can see why I cut it just a little bit smaller, because I didn't want it hanging over the edges, getting all the glue off my hands. Okay, so we're going to first cut, since we're doing this one, we're going to first cut. It still has some things in it. We're going to first cut with the cutting side towards the black cardstock. So we'll bring this back in and disturb everything. And I've also found that if you're going to be cutting something as detailed as this, it's best to go back and forth at least a couple of times. So let me bring this out. It's too far in there. And it's sticking. Okay, come on. So let's see if I can get this through here. And that cracking you hear is normal. Okay, so that's my first time sending it through. Okay, now I'm going to send it in through again. Okay, that should do it. One pass might be enough, but I rather be safe than having to do again. So the next thing I'm going to do is get my die brush that goes to my Take Your Pick tool, and I'm going to run across it. And the thing that I have to stop myself from doing is I feel like I have to push down to make it go through those little holes, but all that really does is make it get stuck in those little holes. It's best to just gently rub it across and then change position so that those pieces can come out. Okay, let me dump this out here. Do some more. Okay, I think that got all of it except for this piece right here. Yeah. You can always hold it up against something white, and that will help you know if you got them all. Okay, I did. So I'm going to poke this out like this, and there we go. We have that. And is this dry enough that I can put it on? It's still wet. It's still wet. That's okay. I can see that. Oops. I think I might have switched my daubers. I think that might be, it doesn't look quite as yellow. Okay. You can see your fingers are going to get inky for sure. So the next time we cut, we're going to cut another one for the back. But this time, it's very important to remember, you cut the first one with the cutting side against the black. The second one, you're going to cut with the cutting side against the adhesive. And you'll soon see why. So let me move that so it can finish drying. I'll put that in there. You know, it seems like when you're on camera, everything wants to be bad. It's like kids when you take them to the store. They gotta act out. Okay, there's one pass, and here's the second pass. Okay. My naughty child over there. And you can make as many of these as you want. I'm just going to do the one for time's sake, but once you figure out how to do it, then what you need, you can make them. You can get creative and come up with combinations. The only thing, like I said, I would watch out for is making sure that the ink you use will dry on vellum and not just kind of form a layer on top and keep it from drying. Okay, do I have it all? Nope. Yeah, I'm loving this butterfly Brilliance bundle. It is, so see now the stickies here, and the reason I have to do that is because it looks symmetrical, but it isn't perfectly symmetrical. So the reason you do two is so that when you put them together, if I can get the other one over here, you put the vellum in the middle, they will match up nicely like that. Okay, so let's see if this vellum, I just don't know, it doesn't want to dry. Okay, so this is the one that goes on top. You want to make sure. And I use the two things that I use to line this up. I use these two pointy things here, and then I use the antennas. And I'm sure those pointy things have a name, but you know, I don't know what it is. Okay, so there's our butterfly. Isn't that pretty? So if I was going to put it on a card, I wouldn't put, I hope I can find one of those things. Here it is. And then I hope I can pick it up with my fingers. So if I was going to put it on a card, I'll come up here so you guys can see. So that's without the back, and this is with the back. So if I was going to put it on a card, I'd put a white back behind it, like that. You can see. Let me bring it down a little bit. I'm not in camera. Okay, so this is without the back. This is with the back. Hopefully you can see the difference. But if you're looking to have the sun shine through, then you're going to want to put this on the back. And you don't have to do that. I think it just gives it a nice finished look, especially if you're going to put it on a window. That way both sides have kind of a pretty look to them. All right, so now the back, I'm going to take that off and use the same things to line it up. But this time I can use the ones underneath to kind of line it up. And it's surprisingly easy to line up. I hope that I don't say that and then you're like, oh yeah, for you maybe. But I don't think I'm all that great, so if I can do it, you could probably do it too. If you wanted to add some bling, you could maybe color some, you could add some rhinestones like I did on one of the cards. You could color some pearls black like I did on one of the cards in the class kit, and then also one of the cards has that black matte dots on it. The black matte dots, I think is what it's called. Okay, so that is our faux butterfly stained glass. And then for smaller butterflies, if you don't want to use the dauber, you can use get a eyeshadow and do for the smaller ones, because you know, with the small ones like this, where's one of the small ones, the teeny tiny ones, it would be hard to do the dauber, so you could use a spongy eye shadow applicator instead around the smaller ones. Okay, that's it. And then the other thing that I did is I cut, I didn't want to use glue dots. I think you could use glue dots. It depends on what you're putting it on and how permanent you want it. I'm cutting a really small, thin piece of excess leftover mini dimensionals, and that's probably too long, so I'm going to have to trim it a little. But this makes it a little more removable, I think, than a glue dot. A glue dot is going to make it more permanent. So if you wanted to kind of touch your fingers to it a little before you stick it, just to make sure that it will come off without any trouble. So that's ready to go on something really cute to doll it up, and you can color coordinate it with whatever you're gonna put it on too, so that way it looks even better. All right, well, thanks for watching, guys.